The People's House has just delivered a decisive victory for the American people by extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits to prevent tens of millions of Americans from experiencing dramatically increased health insurance premiums. The cynics said it was impossible to do. But where I'm from, difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. And in this first full week of the new year, House Democrats, every single one of us, joined by 17 Republicans, have partnered in a bipartisan way to protect the health care of the American people. House Democrats said from the very beginning that we would pour every ounce of heart, soul, spirit, and strength that we had to stand up for the health care of the American people and to address the affordability crisis that exists in the United States of America. I'm thankful for the resolve of the House Democratic Caucus and our partnership with Senate Democrats, who made clear for months, beginning in September, that our commitment was to fix our broken health care system and address the Republican health care crisis, beginning with the extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. I'm thankful for the leadership of Katherine and Pete Aguilar and Richie Neal and Frank Pallone and every single House Democrat, including Lauren Underwood, who's been a steadfast leader and supporter of the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which are all about protecting the health care of working-class Americans, middle-class Americans, and everyday Americans. And that's what House Democrats will always be about. I'm thankful for the leadership of Senator Chuck Schumer and every single Senate Democrat who in December supported legislation for a straightforward 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And we know that that legislation has a majority of support in the United States Senate right now. Every single Senate Democrat and at least 4 Senate Republicans. John Thune needs to bring the bill up for a vote immediately and stop playing procedural games that are jeopardizing the health, the safety, and the well-being of the American people. It's now my honor to yield to Whip Katherine Clark.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leader. And topping off my list of gratitude is to you and for your incredible leadership and strength and perseverance. And I want to really take this opportunity to thank the American people, because it is them. It was their persistence, the millions of calls they made to members of Congress, the times they showed up in town halls, and if their member wouldn't hold a town hall, they took to the streets. They wrote letters to the editor. They emailed. They made sure they told the stories of their families and the impact on their children. The doctors talked about the impact on their patients and what was happening with the closure of hospitals and the maternity health crisis that we have in this country. And today, with the strength and determination and unity of the Democratic caucus as led by our chairman, Pete Aguilar, and our leader, we have said that the people's voice will be heard in the People's House. And this is just a first step into restoring a healthcare system that the Republicans have raided in order to give tax cuts to the billionaires. But we stand ready. We stand ready to hold the Senate accountable to make sure this tax credit is extended and that we bring affordable health care to every part of this country and to every American who needs it. And we will continue to work to address the affordability crisis in this country, and we will celebrate today and get back to work on making sure that we are meeting the needs of the American people. I couldn't be prouder to be part of this caucus, this incredible leadership team, and I'm proud to yield to our chairman, Pete Aguilar.
Thank you, Whip Clark. This is a victory for the American people, but I did want to thank Whip Clark, the Whip team, the staff team, the leaders team, and the leader himself for all the work and the energy that they put into delivering this vote for the American people. This is about lowering the costs that people face, because we have heard from our constituents, we have heard in our districts and back home, parents are having to struggle to make ends meet, to pay rent. Seniors are struggling to pay the costs of health care and prescription drugs. Young people are struggling in picking up second jobs to make ends meet. This is an affordability crisis, and the House Democrats banded together and delivered this victory for the American people. That's what this was about. But make no mistake, Speaker Johnson and Republicans tried to put up every roadblock they could to delay and to stop us winning this vote and delivering these premium benefits to the American people. But despite all of that, we worked, we hustled, and the leader guided this ship to deliver this victory for the American people, because that's what this is about. And we're thankful that in a strong bipartisan way, we were able to have success. 17 Republicans joining with us. As the leader said, this is on John Thune right now to put this up for a vote. Strong bipartisan support in both chambers. The Senate needs to put this up. The Senate needs to give us a vote, and we need to have this relief for the American people. Clear?
Thank you, Katherine. Thank you, Pete. Questions?
In terms of what happens next, obviously you're hoping that Senator Thune brings it to a vote. If he does not, what recourse do you have? What is the next step in this fight?
In our view, the next step is to do what's right for the American people, and John Thune needs to bring the bill to the floor next week for an up or down vote. The tax credits have already expired. Mike Johnson allowed these tax credits to expire because House Republicans, in their leadership, they knew that we had the votes once the discharge petition was successful, and yet they sent everyone home a few weeks ago. And so there's no need for any further delay. John Thune knows that a majority of the United States Senate supports a straightforward, clean, 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. He should bring the bill to the floor next week without any further delay.
But if he doesn't?
I know you'll be supporting Leader Schumer, helping Senate Democrats pressure Johnson to put this bill on the floor, but you all have used discharge petitions on the Epstein files, the Affordable Care tax credits. What else can the American people expect House Democrats to use legislative and procedural tools to address some of these cost of living issues in addition to health care going forward?
Well, listen, it's an all-hands-on-deck approach that House Democrats have taken and will continue to take to address the issues that matter to the American people. First and foremost, to deal with the high cost of living. Costs having gone down in the United States of America during the Trump presidency, costs have gone up. And Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down. Inflation has gone up. Housing costs out of control, grocery costs out of control, child care costs out of control, utility bills out of control, and health care costs out of control. And Republicans are breaking our health care system in real time, which is why this is an important victory for the American people. But our job is not over. We're just getting started. And at the beginning of the Congress, we all said, listen, we'll work with our Republican colleagues in good faith if they're interested in solving problems for everyday Americans and addressing the high cost of living. We've got to deal with the Trump tariffs. We've got to deal with the high cost of housing in America. And we'll continue to operate from the principle that life has gotten far too expensive in this country. Donald Trump has made it worse. Republican policies are a complete and total disaster. And this Congress should start acting to make life better for the American people, as opposed to focusing on subsidizing the lifestyles of the rich and shameless, which has been the GOP objective from day one. Katherine? Pete? All right.
It sounds like there's a bipartisan group of moderate senators and House members who are talking about a possible bipartisan compromise that the Senate could amend the bill that you just passed with maybe like a 2-year extension that has some changes to it. Is that something that you could accept if it does pass out of the Senate?
We're focused on a straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits at the moment, but we've always said that we will consider in good faith anything that emerges from the Senate in a bipartisan way if it decisively deals with the Republican health care crisis, including by providing a meaningful extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Well, I mean, to that point, do you see a 700% income cap, $5 minimum as a meaningful extension?
What we see is a big victory for the American people that was delivered on the House floor, Democrats in the minority, governing as if we're in the majority, because we believe that we have to get things done for the American people in the midst of this affordability crisis, which is not a hoax. It's very real. And the quickest path forward to restoring the tax credits that Donald Trump and Republican leaders in the House and the Senate have allowed to lapse is to take up a bill that just decisively passed the House of Representatives.
If Leader Hakeem doesn't put this bill on the floor, in these last couple weeks before a government shutdown, do you think health care should be part of the equation?
We're focused right now on moving the legislation through the Senate that just decisively passed the House of Representatives.
Leader Jeffries, will there be a legislative response from Democrats regarding the shooting that occurred in Minnesota? For example, does it make it harder to pass a funding bill for Homeland Security?
The situation that took place in Minnesota is a complete and total disgrace. That masked ICE agent showed reckless disregard for human life and unnecessarily killed an American citizen, leaving children without their mother. The extremism that we've seen unleashed on the American people by the administration has been out of control. We have decisively responded in other areas, and we will decisively respond in this particular instance as well.
To be specific, some of your members, Dan Goldman, some progressives, are discussing the idea of trying to use the appropriation process to reduce funding for ICE or to force policy changes of the agency. Is that specifically something that you would support?
We just delivered a big victory for the American people as it relates to addressing the health care crisis that is unfolding in real time and restoring tax credits that will benefit tens of millions of Americans. With respect to the issue connected to Donald Trump, the so-called Secretary of Homeland Security, and the ICE agents that have been unleashed across the country in an out-of-control fashion, not to remove violent felons who are here illegally, we support that. But targeting law-abiding immigrant families all over the country, it's why Donald Trump's immigration policies are underwater in terms of public sentiment. And in the next few days, we'll be having some conversations about a strong and forceful and appropriate legislative response by House.